Hi everyone, welcome to my live trade analysis. We'll go ahead and get started. And if you have any questions, be sure to hang on to the very end. Hi everyone, it's Kim here, and I got some really great questions from one of our members today, and I thought I'd just shoot a quick video looking at charts since it might help the person that sent in the questions and maybe also give you some insight into my thinking on my trades and why I exited. And his question was, what made me exit this trade for 31 pips? And if you look back over here, this is where I entered the trade right here on this candle, and it was right at 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern. So 1 hour before we begin the planning session. This was the entry in the planning session. So if you missed this entry, you had an opportunity, which we identified, to get into this trade during the planning session. All right, so at this point, I had been in this trade for a good hour, and price action was swinging back and forth. And then finally, it makes a punch up and pulls back. And I have a take profit set up here, which is right around here, which it's clearly just blown through. And as it pulled back, I started to look across the board, which you'll see on the other Swiss, and I just decided, you know what, 31 is good enough. But here's the foundation of why I said 31 is good enough. So think of it in these terms. So my thinking at this point was built on a foundation that was set when I first opened the charts. And it was set with, hey, the only clear directional move we have on the board this morning is the dollar Swiss. Everything else is rangy and choppy. Yes, we have an active RBO on the euro yen, but it has not put in a clear directional move. That's number one. Number two was London and the New York session were both losing sessions yesterday. I lost money yesterday. And today's London session, before we come on, was also a losing session. It was just a big, chop fest, essentially. And so coming into the New York session, I was really prioritizing, as I mentioned in the planning session this morning, I prioritized my trades, how I'm going to get into them. I also noted with everyone in the planning session that there was no dollar synchronicity on the board. I could not make out if the dollar was going to be strong today or if it was going to be weak. It was stuck in neutral. It's been stuck in neutral. And that was happening. And then the fourth thing was a random person on Twitter asked me a question, and he asked me about the Euro Swiss. And he asked me this question before the planning session. And he asked it using a 4-hour charts. I responded, hey, I don't know. I don't use 4-hour charts. And then he put up a 15-minute chart. And he said, oh, I'm sorry. And when he put that 15-minute chart up, I opened up the 15-minute chart on the Euro Swiss and my mouth dropped to the floor. So let's go ahead and jump over. What I meant to say was let's jump over to the Euro Swiss. So here we are on the Euro Swiss. And this morning, this is where he asked me this question, right in here. And when I saw this, that's what I said. My mouth almost dropped to the floor. And I thought, wow, what a move. This is spectacular. And I looked at this and there was no pullbacks, no pullbacks, no pullbacks, no pullbacks, no pullbacks. And so just as I was ready to begin the planning session, this candle was coming to a close. I had like 40 seconds and I put a buy order in here. Now, I did not know during the planning session if this trade was going to pull back because, as I showed you before, there were no pullbacks all the way up. This was just a vertical move. But while I was on the planning session, my order was filled and I got in here. And I was able to move my protective stop here, and I had a limit set up at 20, which it just hit right now on this candle. But the question was, why did I jump out of the dollar Swiss? And I went through those 4 foundational things that were already in place. So once I got done with the planning session, it was at the same time that the Swiss was pulling back. So let's jump back to the Swiss, and you'll see. This was at the 8 a.m. candle. 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. And things started to pull back. Now, I had waited in this sideways chop, and I was getting a little anxious about this. So I wanted price to continue pushing. And when it didn't, I thought, you know what? 31 pips is a great amount of pips. I'm not going to be happy if I get something less. I've sat in this for 3 hours. I want to take my profits. So I took them. And then I just punched out of everything else. I punched out of this. I punched out of the pound Swiss, which it's finally hit my take profit here. And I had the CAD Swiss on, which had been going against me like this. And then did the same thing right at the same time. And I thought, I'm not playing with this either. I don't want to take a loss. So I jumped out with +8 on this one. All right. So it was a great move this morning. And the Swiss was the name of the game. I don't know why or what was going on. It doesn't matter. All I know is I know how to trade criteria. I know how to open up any chart, and I can show you how to do that as far as looking at the market. So let's jump over to the EJ, because this was his next question. And his next question is, why did I exit with a 3-pip loss instead of letting the trade go? All right, so here was my actual entry right here. I had a yellow line set here. It didn't fill me, and then it filled me on the next candle. And as the trade bounced around, I was thinking, you know what? I don't really want to take a loss on this trade. It's not part of the Swiss that I'm seeing move. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump out of this. I did not want to assume the risk. I did not want to take -10. It was as simple as that. Even if that meant this pair was going to turn and make a run, I didn't really care. So those are my answers to my questions. I had a strong mental foundation built, and it was built around the dollar Swiss, and it was reinforced once the person on Twitter, Jacob, asked me the question he asked me. So I have to thank Jacob for asking me the question. It prompted me to open up the other Swiss chart, the Euro Swiss. All right. So I hope this helps you in some way with your trading. And if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them. You can submit them even if you're not a member to support@priceactiontradersinstitute.com. Thanks and have a great day.